Moving to Nashville to work in the music industry is a really daunting task. And there are a lot of misconceptions about what the industry is actually like here. So I want to help you by breaking down 5 things I've learned in my first year being an independent producer and engineer here in Nashville. Chogma everyone, my name is DShack, and I am an engineer and a producer in Nashville. I've been independent contracting for a little over a year now, although I've been in the area for a little bit longer. As I was thinking about this video topic, I made this huge long list of things that are really important, really valuable lessons. And so I'm going to make more than one video about this, but I wanted to start with at least 5 really pertinent things that would be really helpful, I think, for anyone coming here into town. And these are things that I personally have learned in my journey here. Keep in mind, these are mostly for people on the production side, so whether that's producers, engineers, songwriters, whatever, but they're also kind of applicable to a lot of artistry kind of stuff as well, which if you are an artist and you want to hear more advice from professionals in town in the industry, you can check out my podcast, Successfully Unsigned, below. But let's start with number 1. I, like so many people when I first moved to town, had these big dreams of going and working in a giant studio and getting to engineer on these big consoles and do all this really cool stuff, have all the photos and the videos. And well, I do get to do that sometimes. But more often than not, a lot of the recording that happens in and around this area are done in little homes, whether it's someone's bedroom or a living room, or a lot of people will repurpose garages or spare parts of their house into new studios. And they're not necessarily big box studios like you might think of. And why is that, you might ask? Well, it comes down to the income streams of the music industry. And basically, there's just not that much money in studio work anymore. You see, live sound is where most of the money for artists is made. And then the studio work, the music they record, the music they release, is really just promotional material to get people to their live show. And there's a bunch of different reasons why that is, and I'm not going to get into that into this video, but just know if you're coming here to be an engineer in town, be aware that live sound has a lot more potential for you to work and earn higher pay. So if you are wanting to come to Nashville to be an engineer, yes, chase your studio stuff, chase your dreams there. You're probably going to be working off a lot of audio interfaces, whether they're 8 inputs or 2 inputs or 4 inputs, whatever that looks like. You're going to be working off of a lot of little in-home studio audio interfaces and only occasionally be in the big studios. So if you're moving to Nashville to be a studio engineer, it's not impossible. So don't misunderstand me. Just know that the chances of doing that full-time or working in big studios all the time is a lot smaller now than what it, say, used to be back in the 70s or 80s or even the 90s. And know that a lot of your potential for making your income doing engineering and paying your bills is going to be coming from live sound. That being said, number 2 works for either live sound or studio work. And that is, you're going to be working under a lot of pressure. Don't let it get to you, and don't let it become something that infects everybody else. Because stress and anxiety are super infectious emotions. For an example, if you are a studio engineer, you're sitting in the hot seat, you're running Pro Tools, you have to be on your game. You are the bottleneck that everything has to pass through to get the final product. So all those musicians, they're those endpoints. And if they mess up, okay, they can punch something quickly and they can catch their parts and refix what they need to refix. You, however, if something goes down or equipment stops working or you forgot how to do something, you are the bottleneck. You can't afford to let that stop the flow of the session. Because if the session has to stop, the artist isn't going to be happy because you've lost that creative momentum, that creative energy that makes things so interesting and fun. And 2, whoever's footing the bill is not going to like it because studio time is expensive. And all of those musicians are used to fast-paced work. They go very, very quickly and can knock out a song in half an hour easy from having never heard it to you got a final track. So if you're in that hot seat, know your stuff. Know what you're doing, know your tools, know your shortcuts, know your program, whatever software you're using. Know what you are doing before you get in there and take the time to prep everything so you're not having to set things up while people are there. Trust me, there is nothing worse than being rushed trying to finalize the session setup while musicians and the artist is arriving, because then you look unprofessional, you're stressed out. So all that being said, be prepared to work under pressure, but you have to be able to keep a calm face. You got to keep your persona in such a way that it doesn't infect other people with stress, because Other people will become stressed based off of your stress. I know that sounds super simple, but it's so true. You've got to keep the session happy and healthy and moving forward creatively. Number 3 is one of my personal favorites, and that is coffee dates are everything. Now, no, I'm not talking about going on a date with a bunch of girls and going and get coffee. What I'm talking about is what a lot of people here refer to as coffee dates, which is just you go sit down with someone, you drink some coffee, you enjoy the time with them, but then you also kind of get a feel for them as a business person. Now, when you watch movies and see all those men in coats and ties, like financial advisors and people that work money and have all of this glory and glamour and fame in that kind of world, well, what do? You always see them go and get like dinner somewhere and they say, oh yeah, those dinner meetings, that's where the real work happens. That's where the real deals get made, right? Well, in the music industry, it's kind of the same thing, except it's not that fancy and it's not that formal. So many of my gigs have happened just because I've gone and sat down at a Starbucks or a local coffee shop and ordered a latte and sat with someone for an hour and a half and just kind of felt out like, hey, is this someone that I would want to hang around and work with? And vice versa. And at the end, they say, hey, you're really cool. And if you can do the work, then let's work together. Let's make this thing happen. And that's all done over a cup of coffee and some jeans and a t-shirt. So if you're coming to Nashville and you don't like coffee, well, learn quickly. All jokes aside, pretty much everybody that works in the music industry, at least here in Nashville, that's on the production side, so producers, engineers, musicians, whatever, pretty much everybody loves coffee. Number 4, if you are an engineer or a producer, you are in a service job. You are, by definition, a support role. Unless your name is the artist, you are there to serve the artist. You are there to help get their music out there or get their music heard if you're in live. So with that in mind, just like any sports team, be a role player. Know your role in that organization, in that group, and perform it to the best of your ability. Remember, it's not your name that's on the album. It's not your name that's on the playbill. It's the artist's name. So it's their reputation as to whether it sinks or swims. Meanwhile, you are being paid to come in and help fulfill that dream and make sure that they have a good reception with the audience. So do your best, and most importantly, don't let your own ego and your own name get in the way of performing the job that you are hired to do. Far too often, I've seen musicians or other artists try to steal the limelight from the artist who is actually supposed to be the focus. And that just makes this weird, confused thing for whoever's watching in the audience because they don't know what's going on. And it doesn't really help anyone. Just remember that you're a support role. Support. Do everything you can to make sure that it goes off smoothly and without any flaws. And lastly, number 5. This one is a really, really tough lesson to learn, and it's a hard one to accept, but that is be patient. No matter what role you are, whether you're an independent producer or independent engineer, a musician, an independent artist, you are a business, and so treat it as such. But also, go listen to what people in general business practice talk about running businesses. Learn from them. And one of the biggest things that I heard when I was first considering going full-time as a freelance engineer was that there's this thing called the 1-year hump. It's this idea that at about the 1-year mark, if you can survive being an independent or a freelance engineer, producer, whatever you are, for 1 full year, after that 1-year mark, you'll start to see things start really coming back around, clients returning, and things smooth out and become easier. And I can tell you with my own experience that that's the case. It's not that 365 days is some magical number. It's more of the idea of you've stuck with it long enough that people begin to trust that you are going to do what you say you're going to do. You're not going to flake out. You're not also going to jump ship and then go take a job at some other place. No, you're actually in it. You're actually doing this. And those clients that you started with a year later might come back around and say, ooh, I'm starting to need new work again. Who can I hire? Well, I worked with so-and-so in the first place. And so now when they have new work again, they might give you that call the second time as well. And so you start seeing the return of multiple clients, which is a wonderful, wonderful place to be. So all in all, just be patient. Know that success doesn't happen overnight. Whether you're an artist trying to get your music out there, or whether you are like me, an engineer and producer, There's going to be a lot of days where you're sitting there feeling like you're doing nothing but twiddling your thumbs. But that's okay, especially in the beginning. Especially in the beginning. Know that it's going to be a while before you get a lot of really, really, really consistent work. Just learn to budget and be patient, and things will work out as long as you're putting yourself out there and you're doing the work. I hope that at least one of these 5 things resonates with you, because these are things that I've learned and kind of wish that I'd known a little bit more of when I moved to Nashville. If any of these things are something that you find that you need help with, or you find are a struggle for you, let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Also, what are the other things, if you do work here in Nashville, that you would want to tell other people when they move here? Again, let me know down in the comments. Chogmashki for watching. Thank you. And if you're a friend or a fan of the channel, do me a really big solid and hit that like, hit subscribe. Those things really do make a big difference. And leave a comment. Until next time, it's been DShack.